Welcome to Code Jogging. In our last video, we looked at for each and then for loop in C++. In this video, we are going to look at nested for loop in C++. If today is your first time watching our video, please kindly subscribe to our channel. For us to understand the use of for each, I will try and then use real life example to explain the reason why at times it's advisable to use the nested for loop. It's not compulsory for you to use nested for loop in your project, but at times that is the better way of handling maybe a problem in your C++ project. Okay, so now for us to work on the for or the nested for loop here, I want us to use, let's delete this one. I want us to work on something like this. So depending on the length of or the size of triangle we want to display. Okay, so we are going to use this scenario to explain what a nested for loop is. Okay, so when you talk about the nested for loop, we are talking about a situation whereby you will have a for loop inside another for loop. So we are talking about you having a parent for loop and then a child for loop. A nested for loop, you can have as many as you want loop in the parent one. It's not restricted to only one loop. So a loop can have another loop inside it, and that loop that you might have inside it can be as many as you want. You are not restricted to only one nested loop. Okay, so for us to work on it, let's declare a variable, let's say height. Okay, let's make it 6 and let's terminate it. So let's use our normal for loop here, and then we set the condition to I less than or equal to the height. Okay, so here I want us to output the value of I here. So let's move it to the next line here. Let's execute our code. Then let's see the output. Okay, so we now have 0 to 6. Okay, now because in our previous video we had 0 to 5, but here because we've changed the condition here, we've added the equal sign to it. Okay, so now we are not going to use the value again. So let's run or execute our code again. Then we have a blank space here. So it means that each line has a blank space. That's the reason why it has moved the process finished with exit code 0. So now this is where we are going to apply our nested for loop. So let's use this one as our parent for loop here. Then inside the parent for loop, then we can call another for loop. It's advisable to use a different variable name for the nested for loop or for the child for loop, because here the parent, we use I as a variable. Okay, now here it has given us J. We can change it to any variable name that we want, but the IDE gave us a different variable name, which is the good approach of using the nested for loop. Okay, so what we are going to do is, the next step we are going to do is to initialize this one to 1, and let's update this one to 1 too. That's the I. Okay, int I equals 1. Okay, so we want our code to start from 1 instead of 0. Okay, so here pay attention. This is where we will add the trick to our nested for loop in order to achieve what I said we are going to work on. Okay, so we are going to use j less than or equal, then you bring your brackets, then the value of I here, okay, multiply by 2. So if we have I to be 1, then I times 1, then we have 1. Okay, so it means that it will always try to multiply it by 2. Okay, so now if you have I equals 1 here, it means that you have I times 2, okay, which will give us 2. Okay, so now let's go on and then execute our code before we continue. So let's run our code and then see the output. Okay, so now this is the output, and as I was explaining, so where I is 1, it will multiply by 2. So now you've realized that we have 2, 4, 6, okay, but we want our code to our output to begin with 1 star or 1 asterisk here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how can we achieve that? We can do that by subtracting this one by 1. Okay, so let's run our code, and there we go. Okay, so with this one, with the -1, it will always subtract 1 from the total length of the nested or the child for loop. So we can go ahead, instead of giving it as a fixed length here or height, we can ask our user to enter the length of the, let's say, the triangle. Okay, so we can go ahead and then make this one 0. Don't worry, we have a syntax error here. Don't worry, so we can go on and then display, enter the height. Okay, so we terminate it, then cin, then height. Okay, then let's terminate it. Okay, so now let's execute our code again. Okay, and then let's enter 5. Press enter. So let's see the height. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So this is how you can use nested for loop in C++. And you're not restricted to what we just did. What we did here was just to show you an example of nested for loop. So in case you have any questions, you can leave it at the comment section. And also if you have any suggestions that can help us to improve this channel for computer programmers, you can use the channel email address to reach out to us. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next video. Bye bye.